Hello again. This is Satan's Trilogy, Book 1. I am the author and the narrator. This is Chapter 5, and this is reading 39. Hope you enjoy it. The crowd was getting restless. The phoenix, sensing this, raised his voice and became more emphatic with his tone. He must build his body to W.O.W. standards. At that moment, the phoenix lifted his arms and flexed his biceps, and pumping up his muscles and showing the tremendous strength within his arms. The crowd again went wild, and the phoenix moved around the ring, posing to all four sides of the stadium. A hard rock band, black gothic band, was tossing in heavy riffs on the lead guitar, backed with drum rhythms to accompany the actions of the phoenix. Black Gothic Band, or BGB, as their fans called them, had signed a very lucrative contract with W.O.W. nearly 6 months earlier. The World Organization of Wrestlers had determined that Black Gothic Band had developed a large following that not only increased attendance, they enhanced the presentation of the wrestling events. It was a good union of performances. Black Gothic Band would play for nearly 60 minutes before the evening's events started, and they would stay nearly a half hour afterwards, playing several songs while much of the crowd finished leaving. W.O.W. management had noticed the younger people coming early and staying late in order to experience the music. The band had become an integral part of the show. Their talents were obvious to all, and their contributions were greatly appreciated by the wrestlers. BGB fans arrived early, much earlier than the band, and then they would party to the music of Black Gothic Band. This entire segment of the evening's entertainment created another dimension to the night's events. The majority of the teens wore black shoes, black pants or skirts, and black shirts. Even their underwear was black, if they wore any at all. The teenagers had bonded with Black Gothic Band, creating a near cult following. The Gothic generation was focused on the music of BGB, and that generation added to ticket sales. While not all of the teens were true Gothics, they did all imitate Black Gothic Band by wearing exclusively black to the W.O.W. events. BGB had gone from background sound support to a key part of the evening's entertainment. When offered a 6-year contract, Sash, the family's leader, seriously considered the band's options. For appearing at 60 events per year, Black Gothic Band was given a very lucrative contract with all expenses paid. The band would not be required to leave the country, and better yet, W.O.W. had agreed to allow the band to end the contract anytime they chose after 3 years, and with 3 months' notice. Additionally, the band would be free to compose and record as many songs as they chose. W.O.W. would place no claim on their work while under contract. To Sash, this was an offer the band could not turn down. Black Gothic Band was on their way to global fame. The Phoenix again tried to speak to the crowd, Next week, we'll be in New York City at the world-famous Mason Civic Center. I want you all to be there. The Phoenix had yelled that request to the crowd, and again they came to their feet yelling and whistling to the point the noise was deafening. Holding his left hand out in a gesture to quiet the crowd, the Phoenix continued in a calmer voice, "And if you can't be there, then you need to be signed up with your cable TV company to receive the event on your television. I'll be taking on my greatest challenger yet, the mighty Sting." The Phoenix paused while the crowd made some noise, showing their disapproval of the challenger. The Phoenix continued talking. "The mighty Sting is undefeated in over 60 matches, and he has demanded a title event with me." The crowd was voicing their disapproval and was booing every time the Phoenix said the name of the challenger, the mighty Phoenix, the mighty Sting. I want you to watch me dismantle what some call the greatest challenge of my career. The Phoenix points his finger around at the crowd and says, "I want you to watch a strong man's demise." The crowd applauded and cheered, and BGB was creating a deafening bass beat, slowly rising in volume as the crowd became a singular voice of approval. Yelling enthusiastically to the crowd, the Phoenix shouted, "Follow me, watch me, and enjoy the destruction of the mighty Sting." Again flexing his biceps and moving about the ring, the Phoenix basked in the enthusiasm and the excitement of the crowd. The speaker system started to screech, and there was some sound feedback that was deafening to the ears, and then a voice was heard. "The Phoenix thinks that he is a champion. Well, that may be so, but after he meets me in the ring at New York City, he'll be just another ex-champion." The crowd realized that this was the voice of the mighty Sting. He had shown up unannounced to study the wrestling methods of the Phoenix. The mighty Sting is a highly skilled champion of wrestling and a master of the art of defense and attack. He would study his opponents for weeks, if not months, before meeting them in the ring. The mighty Sting knew the techniques of his opponents better than they did, for he saw wrestling as a science and could draw insights from studying their skills. The mighty Sting had the developed body, he had the training, and he had the guts to meet any man in the ring and leave victorious. Next week, the fans would find out if the mighty Sting had the heart to become a champion. The spotlights high in the ceiling went frantic for a minute and then suddenly converged on a side entryway. The mighty Sting stood there, holding a microphone and looking like a finely sculptured monument dedicated to professional wrestling. The mighty Sting was wearing a red leather jacket. When he turned around to scan the audience, a large scorpion became visible on the back of his jacket. The scorpion was facing forward with its stinger in an attack position. The scorpion was a magnificent work of art, created from a dozen colored pieces of leather sewn into the design. At the end of the stinger was a large ruby that reflected the light as the mighty Sting moved about. Having turned about full circle, he again looked down at the center ring. Taking his original pose, his black jeans seemed to have tightened against his muscular legs, and his chest had expanded, making him look even more intimidating. His tan boots, used during his matches, were laced tightly, nearing the top of his calves. His red silk shirt was only buttoned halfway up, exposing his muscular chest. Holding the microphone to his mouth, the mighty Sting started to speak. I came here tonight in order to study the wrestling techniques of the present champion, only to discover that there was nothing for me to learn from this man. This night was a waste of my time. The mighty Sting lowered the microphone. The crowd was booing him, having spoken. The mighty Sting looked about as the crowd was reacting to his comments. Not even slightly fazed by the crowd's disapproval, the mighty Sting continued. Furthermore, in New York City, I will become the teacher, and the Phoenix will be the student. The Phoenix will learn two things on that night. First, he will learn the feel of the mat against his back as I defeat him. Second, the Phoenix will learn that it is time to retire. Having said this, the mighty Sting put on a large pair of black-framed sunglasses and crossed his arms. The crowd continued to boo him. The mighty Sting stood for a few moments, defiant to the crowd, and as a white fog surrounded his body, he disappeared into the hallway and was gone. The spotlights again scattered about the stadium and suddenly merged on the Phoenix. Fans, the Phoenix was addressing the crowd. The mighty Sting will be a great challenge. That is, if his talent proves to be as big as his eagle. The Phoenix walked about, nodding his head as the crowd laughed. He then added, however, I know that a big ego does not make a great wrestler, nor does it make a champion. The crowd was cheering, and Sash was tossing in some rapid riffs on the lead guitar. The lights suddenly darkened, leaving the Phoenix in the spotlight. The band's drummer, Seeker, was playing a steady, deep bass beat, growing steadily louder. The Phoenix spoke into the microphone that he held in his left hand. Next week, I'll use my life's training and my years of experience to teach the mighty Sting that he is not so mighty after all. The crowd erupted, yelling and screaming. Some of the crowd was chanting Phoenix. Phoenix. Mary, along with 8,000 others, was focused on each word. The Phoenix spoke while looking into the camera. Next week, the mighty Sting will wish he had never stepped into the ring with a real champion. Posing for the camera, flexing his muscles, he stopped speaking, and in his usual fashion, the Phoenix blew kisses to the crowd and yelled he loved them all. He then quickly left the ring. As he walked out of the stadium, 6 very large men wearing black suits ushered him down the aisle and into the lower hallway. With the searchlights moving about the stadium and several of the lights following the Phoenix, he walked down a long red carpet and back into the lower section of the auditorium. Disappearing in a white mist of fog, the Phoenix was gone. Many fans had reached out their hands to touch him, but tonight he was not in the mood. The Phoenix had been visibly disturbed with the confrontation created by the mighty Sting. As the Phoenix disappeared in the mist, the men in black stood at the exit, preventing anyone from following the heavyweight champion of the W.O.W. The lights faded as the Phoenix disappeared. Black Gothic band had been playing deep rhythms as the bass guitar, along with steady drum beats, rising into a frantic explosion lasting a few moments. Then BGB stopped playing and the lights came on. It was as if night had instantly turned to day. Everyone had to give their eyes a moment to focus. The crowd knew it was time to leave. They had enjoyed their over 2 hours of professional wrestling, and the night's wrestling matches had ended. It had been a total sensory experience. Sounds, music, smells, and the evening's theatrical events were embedded in everyone's thoughts. It all had to be digested and hashed over and over. The evening had come to a satisfying conclusion, and the fans had enjoyed the show. Now the crowd slowly made its way out of the auditorium. Everyone but the BGB fans were leaving. They would have to wait just a few more minutes for the band to start a 30-minute set. Mary stood and for a moment was thinking about all she had seen. The wetness on her back had become an uncomfortable, sticky feeling that she became painfully aware of. The obviously rude man who had been sitting behind Mary, was now looking her in the face. He had come around to the side of the aisle where Mary stood. Her seat was always at the end of a row. She did not mind moving into the aisle to allow people in the row to enter or leave, but she hated having to walk in front of others. Mary did not care for climbing over people, especially during the night's entertainment. She would only accept a seat at the end of her row for any event that she attended. The beer-guzzling fan looked Mary in the face and said, "Listen, bitch, if I ever catch you on the street, I'll pound on your face until your own mother can't recognize you." The man had kept some distance while threatening Mary, but he looked serious. Turning away, he started to follow the crowd out of the arena. Mary decided that she was not about to risk this ass making good on his promise. As the crowd slowly made its way to the lower exit, Mary started to follow this person, keeping back far enough so as not to be detected. 18 exits and 8,000 people, it would take some time to slowly move the crowd out. The fans, still thinking of the night's events, were mentally reliving the evening's events, and no one seemed to care that the lines were moving slowly to the exits. Mary was several fans behind the man, keeping out of his sight, but close enough to catch up when needed. That will be the end of reading 39. Hope you enjoyed it. Till next time, take care and be safe.